welcome to another up close video. Today's one is for Tonic Stamp Club number 21, which is called Aloha Paradise, and you can tell from the name that it's got all sorts of gorgeous like tropical paradisey kind of themed images, like the little flamingos, the toucan, you've got pineapples, hibiscus flowers, some gorgeous tropical leaves and stuff, and a load of really appropriate sentiments to go with the images, and also kind of like punny sentiments as well. And all of the images in this month's set have coordinating dies, plus there are extra dies as well for building out your scenes too, which is fantastic. And I've actually got mine in the proper packaging this time as well to show you exactly what it looks like when you get yours. So you get it in the little plastic ring binders that say Stamp Club on them, and then you also have the actual backing card so you can see your stamps really nicely. You've got the white behind them and you've got the name on the back of them as well if you want to keep track of all of the names. I do tend to stick a label on mine as well, just so I know what number it was, so I know what order they're in. And yours will come with all of your dies on the acetate sheet with the little strips of foam tape, but I've put mine on one of the Tonic magnetic sheets. But you don't have to use a Tonic one, you can definitely just get cheaper A4 ones and cut them down to fit inside the wallet if you want to store yours on the magnetic sheet. It just depends how long or how often you're crafting with it and taking the dies on and off and stuff, because the sticky of the foam tape does last you know, for probably like 10 times taking them on and off and using them. So depending how often you're gonna, you know, use your dies, you might want to upgrade to a magnetic sheet at some point later down the line, but the sticky will work fine for storing them for now. But I just like to put mine on a magnetic sheet so they're all done and ready. But let's have a look at this month's Stamp Club then. So the stamp set you have with the packaging with the white, so I can just show you on top of here and you can see all of the gorgeous images. And I love that we're getting dies to cut all of them out as well. So firstly, let's look at this little fella here. We have got this little flamingo who's standing on one leg and is facing to the right. And then you also have this little flamingo who's standing on both legs but facing to the left. So you can do some cool cards with both of them looking at each other, or having multiples of them and make more of like a crowd of flamingos as well for different scenes to sort of go with some of the sentiments perhaps, or just to build up a larger card. Maybe you're doing a landscape DL or slimline kind of style card. You can have lots of flamingos and have a few of them this direction, a few of them this direction to kind of build up the scene as well, which is really nice. And if you wanted to, you can probably do the flipping technique, you know, where you stamp on acetate or a jelly plate or one of those special stamps that are just like a big slab of like photopolymer, and you can stamp onto them and then press your card onto it and flip it the opposite way round. I'm sure you could get away with doing that for these ones as well if you really wanted to. Or you could change up the legs of this one, snip off the folded leg that's here and add another straight leg as well to make it look like a different flamingo as well. So I'm sure you can mix and match these if you really want them to look a little bit more different from each other if you're putting a lot of them on your card. But I love that we get the two in the different directions. Then we have also got a gorgeous pineapple image. We've got multiple like tropical cocktail kind of images. I was sort of googling to like how to colour these in, and this is more of like a fresh coconut with the green outside and then some of it shaved off around the top. And it's got someone told me what these were called when we had I don't know if this is definitely one of them, but that is they're called frangipani flowers, because I wasn't sure what they were called in another, it might be another Stamp Club video actually where we had tropical flowers, but yeah, they're called frangipani flowers. So we've got one on there, and we've got little straws as well coming out of this drink. We have two of the little frangipani flowers actually as well, so you can you know, make like a whole wreath of them. You could do one of the like necklace sleigh things as well and put lots of them together and maybe put them on a different character that you have, or have it coming around the neck of one of the characters as well. You've got this lovely tropical drink here, which I was thinking you could make it like a pina colada or something, or I actually coloured it as like one of those ombre sort of drinks. I've done it before with like orange squash, and then you put blackcurrant squash in the bottom and it sort of makes an ombre effect. I think that's a really nice one for practising some ombre colouring in as well. And I think your Nuvo shimmer powders and stuff would look great on that too, make it look like a sparkly kind of tropical cocktail drink. And then the other cocktail drink you get is more of like a typical sort of coconut cracked in half with the brown hairy shell on the outside, and you've got a little umbrella in this one, a little bent straw, and then a little citrus slice, which could be orange, lemon, lime, whatever you want it to be as well. I kind of went with colours that would match the card, so I think I did mine as an orange slice because it matched some of the other colours that I'd been using on the card, but you can definitely play around with whatever fruit slice you want it to be. Then we've also got a little toucan as well, which you can probably tell there's going to be some toucan punny sentiments in here too. We've got him there as well, and I love the position of him as well because you can place him towards the right hand side of the card, but he's still looking into the card as well, which is really nice, because I think if I'm adding a character, I would kind of go for putting them on the right hand side near the top, like sitting on a tree. And I love that he's looking back into the card, so he can kind of be looking down at that flamingo or looking at some of the pineapples or coconuts and things like that. So I love the positioning of him. He works really, really nicely for building your scenes on your cards. Then you have a gorgeous hibiscus flower as well, so really pretty one, and you get the die to cut it out. So again, you could do like a wreath kind of effect with the gorgeous tropical flowers and also the tropical leaves as well. We've got my favourite leaf, we've got a monstera leaf, and then another sort of longer tropical sort of leaf as well. And then we also have two different length sticks of bamboo, so you can actually build up maybe a background. You can add these towards the sides of a card. You can have this little fella sitting on one. If you do one horizontally coming out, he can be sitting on that as well. Or you could have just a cool geometric kind of background with the bamboo, stamp it in one direction, flip it another direction, or cross them over, or all sorts of different things you can do with these ones. And I have used them on one of the cards, two of the cards actually. I just put two of these crossed over in the front of one of the cards where I'd done a lot of the drinks, and it kind of looks like they could be really chunky straws as well, or they could be you know, used as like chopsticks or something for eating with. So lots of like versatility with some of these other stamps as well. And then the final one I haven't showed you is another small little tropical flower, kind of a small hibiscus without so much detail in the little trumpet bit as well. So you've got plenty of little flowers to fill in areas to add to the characters as well. If you really want to make one flamingo look more feminine than the other one, you can add a flower to their head as well, or even onto their wings and stuff too, or onto the toucan as well. And you can embellish any of the sort of scenes that you might make with the drinks with some flowers to fill in different areas, to balance colours across your card as well, because hibiscuses come in so many different colours. You can really use that to help balance the colours across your card. Like if you've coloured the beak of the flamingo orange but there's no other orange on your card, you can have an orange hibiscus to match it in. So I really love those kind of little elements. They really do help to sort of build up a lovely scene. And for making all of the 5 cards that I've made for samples to show you, I actually like stamped everything twice, plus the flamingos for a third time, and also some of the leaves a few more times as well. And that gave me so many different elements that I could just completely colour in whatever colours I wanted, cut them out with the dies, and then I could just place them onto my cards and mix and match them and, you know, move them around however I wanted them to be as well. And there's also some gorgeous standalone dies in the die set as well that you can use to build your scenes too, and I'll show you that in a second on the die set and also on my finished cards as well. Then all of the punny sentiments that we've got on here, or just the different sentiments as well, lots of them mix and match with each other, but you've got stand out from the crowd, so you can do like different flamingos, maybe colour them all different colours and one really stands out. You can do that sort of sentiment with it. You've got make today, so you can do make today fabulous, or you could do make today paradise as well if you want to do. You can do stay fabulous, you can do fun and fabulous. You've got every day with you is fabulous, or every day with you is paradise, every day with you is flamazing, you're flamazing. We can do if anyone can, toucan, do it as well. So toucan is kind of like playing on you can, or even two can, as in 2 people. So you could do it for a couples kind of card as well. Then you've got Let's Flamingo Wild, and then we've also got Let the Good Times Roll and Aloha, and I did those two on the same card together, but I'm sure you can find some other mixes and matches in here as well, or even bring in some other stamps and dies you might have that are like birthday themed or thank yous and stuff, and mix them in with the punny sentiments that are on here as well. So yeah, I really love the selection of sentiments that we've got in here. I've used a different one on each of the cards, and I think the only ones I didn't use were the sort of Make Today, Stay and Fun and Fabulous. I think they were the only ones that I didn't use, but I used all of the rest. So you've got a really lovely selection of sentiments that you can, you know, you can make a whole set of cards through like an afternoon or something, and all of them can have different punny sentiments that go with the images that you've chosen, which is really nice. So those are all of the stamps. And then we have the die set as well, and we have the, as I said before, coordinating dies for all of the images, plus we have some extra dies as well. So we've got this little flamingo here, and as with all of the stamp clubs, Tonic are fantastic, and you can see here, you can see the whole image through the die. So you can stamp and colour all of your images, and then you don't have to worry about the dies being difficult to line up, because you can literally just line them up perfectly and you'll still be able to see the whole image through the die, which is fantastic because it really saves a lot of time having to, you know, die cut a template, then put around one of the images to replace the die back in and stuff, or having to chase your die cut image around your cardstock when you're trying to colour it because you have to die cut it before you colour it or something, you know. It's really nice having the dies that are so easy to line up like this. So we've got that flamingo, then we also have the other flamingo as well, and these would be not only like great toppers for your cards or for building scenes, but you could make these into like magnets and stuff and have them in the summer on your fridge or something for little children to play with, and they can make little scenes or act out little different bits and pieces with all the little characters as well. So having the coordinating dies that cut out the images are fantastic for things like that, because you can obviously use them to cut out magnetic sheet as well. So you could actually have them to be perfectly magnetic, you know, with the actual shape lining up with the die cut as well. Then we have the pineapple. So we've got the pineapple image there. We have got this sort of green coloured coconut drink there. We have got the coconut drink with the cocktail umbrella. We have got both of the dies to cut out the two bits of the sort of bamboo as well, or they could just be other kind of, oh, you could actually make a fence out of them actually, depending on what kind of scene you were building up. You could you know, build a complete fence out of bamboo for a different kind of card as well. So yeah, I think they're really versatile, those ones, and you could actually just use them as a horizontal line to stamp your sentiments on. If you didn't like the look of them floating in the middle of your card, you could actually make them part of the scene, or have that as a horizontal piece coming out, and then make your sentiment like a sign hanging down. Make it like a tropical kind of bar on a beach or something, and this could be the sign for the shop, and it could be, I don't know, Flamazing Cocktails or something you could call it. So you could actually use it to create a little sign for your images as well. You've also got the die that cuts out the toucan. You have got the die that cuts out that monstera leaf down there. You've got the one that cuts out the other tropical leaf as well. You've got the one for the gorgeous large hibiscus flower. You have got this one that cuts out this one of the frangipani flowers, and then you've also got that one that cuts out the other one. You've got a die that cuts out the tiny little hibiscus type flower there as well, and you have the die that cuts out the final cocktail sort of drink as well. So you can see every single image, bar the sentiments, but all the images have coordinating dies to cut them out, which I really love that. I love being able to get that uniform kind of finish across your card where everything is die cut out and you haven't had to fussy cut anything. So I love that you get all of those. And then these are the remaining dies that are left on here, and I love these ones as well. You have another monstera leaf, which again is my favourite kind of leaf. I was saying I don't know how long ago it was now that I didn't have any leaves like this. I think I've built up quite a collection of these kind of leaves in different products now, so I'm very happy to have another one to add to that collection, because I don't think I'll ever get bored of these leaves. They're just so gorgeous. And we have the stamped version as well. So the stamped one is kind of like drooping downwards a little bit and in a specific direction, but this one is more, well, it's not really that much different, but it's more just sort of more of like a straight leaf, so you can have it pointing in either direction and it looks perfect going either way, which is nice. Then you also have 2 palm trees as well, which is perfect for building up your scenes, and they look fantastic when they're built up as well. And you have both of the trunks going in different directions, so you've got one that curves one way and one that curves the other way, and they are actually slightly different. This one is a teeny bit taller than this one as well, so you've actually got the difference in those two, which is really lovely. And then you also have 2 different top pieces for them as well, so you can see, if you just point out one leaf, you can see there are differences between the 2 of them, and they look fantastic layered up that way as well. If you have just colouring them or cutting them out of slightly different green cardstocks and layering the 2 of them together, they're not going to fall exactly on top of each other. They're going to give that gorgeous messy tatty palm tree kind of look to them as well. I was just using 2 on my palm trees, but you could definitely get away with going with 3, making them really full and 3D as well, or just 1 looks fantastic too. So really love those. And even more, that I love this one even more, you get the little coconut as well, and it has the little dots that do the sort of little 3 holes in the coconut, and if you put a fine black pen in there to really emphasize them, it looks fantastic as well, really brings out that detail, and I'll show you that on one of my finished cards. And then finally, the last die that we have is a really cool one. This is like gorgeous waves, and I love that they're incremental as well, so they go down from really small sizes to much larger sizes as well, and it's not just one-sided. So this, because you have this extra detail that can cut into it to give you these like extra sort of almost like white horses on the waves, that is kind of like the intended way to use it, where the waves will have a point on them. But you can use it this way up as well, where you have more curved topped waves too, so you don't have to just use it one way. You can mix it and flip it up the other way as well. And actually, if you cut that both ways up, I think the height of the waves goes in the other order. So this way you would have the waves going from tallest on the left hand side, but this way you would have the waves being tallest on the right hand side. So you can, depending on which way you want the current to go on your card, if you've got, I don't know, maybe you've got some other stamps in your stash of like a tiny little surfer that could be on the waves, and you need the waves to be in the opposite direction, you can actually flip the die and use both sides of it when it cuts it out as well, which is really nice. I did save one of the pieces, but I'm not sure what on earth I did with it. I don't know where I put that. But I'm hoping you can kind of see from the die that if you cut it up this way you get a pointy wave, but then you also get the negative piece that gives you like a curved wave as well. I do not know what I did with the waist piece that I kept to show you with that, but I do have an idea on one of my cards showing you how you can use those little fall away pieces. You can definitely like cut them out of the sugar crystal white glitter card and have like sparkly bits of waves on here. You could fill them with glitter accents or something as well, and make a real feature of them on the waves using them on your card. Or I just really like the fall away pieces. You could even use them on an arty card as well and have like a tube of paint, and then it looks like it's squeezed out a messy bit of paint as well. So really cool ways that you can use bits and pieces out of that little wave die as well. So I'll put all of these dies away and then I'll come back and show you the 5 samples that I've done as well. Okay, so here's my first card that I've done, and I thought I'd just point out some of the products that I've used. You can see there's sparkle on the sand, and you can probably just about see that there's a little bit of splattery sparkle in the sky. I'm not sure if you can actually see that on the camera, but I was using the Midas Touch and the Aqua Shimmer glitter gloss as well, and for the background I was mixing it in with some of the Oxide inks that I'd used, and for the sand I just splattered it on top, so I thought I'd just mention those two. And then the colours that I've been using, so anywhere you see blue inky background, that was Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide and Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide, and I think in both cases, yeah, I just did direct to paper. So I literally just, for this one, I took it and I went like this and swooshed it around to make it have more movement to it. And I did it with the Tumbled Glass first and then the Mermaid Lagoon afterwards, just to give like a really suggestive sort of background that there's sky or sea or something back there. And then for the sand on this card and the next card that I'll show you, I just used antique linen, and again I just did direct to paper rather than getting an ink blending brush out. I just thought it gives that variation in the colour if you just do direct to paper, because it doesn't catch everywhere and you've got like lighter spots of sand in there as well. And then I splattered it with the Midas touch to give it that little bit of sparkle too. So that's the colour I used for the sand on any of the cardstock that I've used. And then everything else, including all my die cut images, are all just coloured with alcohol pens. I was having so much fun colouring them all in. And I have a top tip for you for when you're, so for these palm trees, how many did I cut out? I cut the trunks out together, and then I think I cut them like 5 times, and I did the same with the top pieces as well. So I had like 10 of each of these, and I also had about 9 or 10 of the extra Monstera leaves as well, and then the same for the coconuts too. And it's sometimes difficult to colour images like this. You're often like chasing them around your mat, which is why often you usually see people cut them out of coloured card, because then you don't have to chase them because they're already coloured. But my top tip is take a piece of scrap cardstock or paper or anything, you know, that's just scrap, a letter that's come through the post, whatever. Take one of your Nuvo tape runners. This is the little dotty one. I find this one's better because they don't stick down as much and you can easily peel them back off afterwards. But you just do little dots of this over whatever scrap you're using, stick all your bits and pieces on there, and then you can colour them, and then they're not moving around on you, and you can easily use like the chisel end to really colour over all of these leaves and stuff, and you can be more precise with where you're adding shading and stuff, where you don't have to sort of chase them around your desk. So these little tape runners from Tonic are fantastic for just holding little bits and pieces down. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, it's kind of got like little diamonds on it, and I just find using this one over the actual like proper solid tape one, this one's just a little bit easier to pull them back off of your cardstock, especially if you've been like pressing down on them whilst colouring. You're kind of pressing them into the adhesive, so having the little triangle or the little diamond pieces is much easier to peel all your little die cuts back off and then stick them onto your project as well. So that is my top tip for when you want to colour your little elements with your alcohol pens. So let's have a look at this card. I love this kind of scene that you can build up with the gorgeous palm trees, and don't those coconuts just look fantastic? And then putting the little dot of a black pen down in the little debossy areas really emphasises the holes and make them look a little bit more realistic. And because I stuck all of these down, you can get that little bit of shading just on the back of them to really make them look like they're rounded as well. And then I've just done quite messy sort of colouring on the actual leaves of the palm trees as well, just to sort of make it look like maybe there's a few more leaves in there, or that, you know, there's smaller leaves in front of the larger leaves and stuff, just to add a little bit more detail. And I've done a few little dots on there as well. I just like doing that when I'm colouring. And then for the actual trunks of the palm trees, I've coloured them in with a lighter brown colour, done one swoop of like shading down the side of them, and then where all the little bits sort of go inwards in the die cut, I've just done a little stripe of colour, so it really makes it look like all of those pieces are sort of on top of each other a little bit more, or that they actually protrude out at the bottom and give that little bit of shadow to the one below. So I really liked how they turned out, colouring them in like that. And then I've just added the 2 flamingos in the foreground, and you can see how perfectly they cut out. And I have actually coloured the flamingos differently. This one has just got the sort of peachy kind of flamingos. I think flamingos are different colours depending on what they eat. I think that's what I've heard before. But I went peachy colours for these ones, and on the next card I've done peachy colours plus also like the bright sort of neon pink colours as well, that might not actually be true to a flamingo, but they're kind of like the iconic sort of colours that you see a flamingo in. And then for this one, for the sentiment, I just did the "You're Flamazing" as a really quick and easy kind of sentiment on this one. I really love how that turned out, and it's really lovely and simple, but it's so bright and cheerful just to send somebody. It's just a just because kind of card, just to tell someone they're amazing, and do it in a punny way with the little flamingos. Then the next card has got more flamingos in the 2 different colours. So you can see how I coloured, I had 6 of them all together. I coloured 4 of them with the sort of peachy kind of colours, and then 2 of them with the bright pink colours. And then I've done this one with the toucan as well. So I've done toucan stand out from the crowd. So it can be two can, so it could be for a couple, or it can be you can. So it could be, I love the toucan is kind of double meaning as well. You can use it for all sorts of different sort of occasions and stuff. But I love him. He's so sweet. And you can see what I was talking about, the way you can place him in the top right corner, but he's looking that way. So he's still a part of the scene. It's not like he's looking off the card. He's actually still looking onto the card, and I really like that. I've coloured all the palm trees in exactly the same way, and I've also got some of the monstera leaves in the background as well, and I just try to vary the green tones that I use as well. So the monstera leaves are more of like a blue green, and then I've done a really yellowy green and a minty green for the tops of the palm trees, just to make it look really different. And I just used all the rest of the palm tree stalks or trunks that I had left. So there's like 7 on this card, but there's way less foliage pieces on this one because I added in all of those monstera leaves as well. And you don't really notice, you know, that there's not enough foliage to fill all of that. It just kind of, you know, builds out the top of the scene quite nicely and fills in the background nicely with all those trunks. And you can see how I've left the background white on this one. So you could have done the same sort of bluey background. You could do a watercolour wash or aqua flows or something in the background, or use a blue patterned paper as well with like a subtle pattern on it. But I quite liked it just with the white. When I had everything laid out on my desk, I liked just having the white on this one because I felt like there was so much other colour on here. I didn't want to add blue in as well. I kind of just liked it with the white, so I left it like that. But I really like how this turned out. I really love these little characters, if you couldn't tell. They're just so adorable, and they just make you feel so cheerful with the bright colours. But you could definitely experiment with different colours as well. And if you're doing the stand out from the crowd, you could definitely have like a blue flamingo or a red flamingo or a purple flamingo to make it kind of obvious that they're standing out from the crowd. But I really love how these turned out. So that is the next one. Then I have done another one with that gorgeous toucan as well, and I turned this one into a shaker card because I thought I loved the way all of these leaves are sort of coming in from the edges, and I thought, well, I was just going to do a circle aperture and not have the shaker card element, but I was like, it's going to work so nicely for a shaker card. So the way I've done this is a little bit different, because instead of just having all of the elements behind the aperture and, you know, with the shaker stuff in front of it, before I stuck the acetate behind the circle that I'd cut into the front panel, I put some of the leaves behind. So instead of having an awkward sort of stalk just poking out here, I've tucked it underneath before I put the acetate on. So you kind of have to play around with your placement on this. I had 2 pieces of card exactly the same size, one with the aperture cut out, one just plain, so that I could perfectly line this back up over the top with my placement. And I placed the bamboo sticks in the background first, and then I brought in some of the foliage, kept checking with this circle aperture over the top of it that I liked the placement. And then wherever I felt like I wanted elements in the foreground, I then just brought them in and tucked them under the frame, and then I put the acetate on the back of it and did everything else. So I just thought I'd mention how I put this one together in case you're wondering sort of how you get the leaves underneath here. You do have to kind of think about it first, because otherwise you'll have stuck your acetate onto there and then you'll have to like cut a curve on your leaf and try and just butt it up against it, and it might not look as nice. So poking them underneath the aperture before you put the acetate on is the perfect way around that. And I also did double foam on this one as well, because I've used sequins and confetti, but I also wanted to use some really large glass microbeads that I have to give it that kind of rainforest sound. I thought it would work quite well with a toucan. It's kind of like a rainforesty sort of feel. So I wanted to do the double height so that they could still move around nicely as well. And the sequins that I've used are the brand new ones from the Spring Meadow colour trend, which is the Cannoli cream. And then the confetti is a slightly older one. This was from Woodland Walk colour trend, and this one is the Sunset Yellow Butterflies, because I'd picked out these ones and I was thinking, well, the toucan's got a bit of a brighter yellowy colour on, and the middle of the frangipani flower as well, and I wanted something a little bit brighter, but I didn't have any like star confetti or something that would work, and then I spotted the butterflies and I thought, well, they go perfectly for like a tropical sort of feel, so they mixed in really nicely just to add that slight pop of a brighter yellow in the background. So yeah, I really like how this one turned out as well, and I love the layers of like that you've kind of built up in there. And you could even, if you wanted to, do cut two of these ones. So the one with the circle aperture, you cut two of them, and then because you wanted double height of foam, you sandwich one aperture in the center, so you have one height of foam behind this front one, then you'd have the next aperture, then you'd have another height of foam behind the other one, so the main portion of the shaker would still be double heighted foam, but around the edge you could then have leaves poking in as well in a middle kind of ground, if that makes sense. Or you could do the cool idea with the invisible thread and have like another animal inside there, or if you had small little butterfly stamps from elsewhere, because you put the butterflies in here, you could have had a little stamped butterfly image on the invisible thread sort of floating around inside there as well. So you could definitely do all sorts of stuff to make this even more fun looking on the inside. And you can see here I put one of these horizontally, so it looks like he's sitting on that as well. And I wanted to make him more sort of the central focus of the card, because I've used the sentiment, if anyone can, two can do it. So it's either you can do it or two can do it. So it's a lovely, really, again, another like uplifting kind of card, and really cheerful with these colours as well. But if you got the tropical paradise colour trend, that would work fantastically with all of these elements as well, because that had the yellows, the greens and the pinks, and I think it had a bit of purpley colours in there as well. I can't remember how long ago that came out. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before actually. But that would work perfectly. And there was a patterned paper in the paper pad that had like these little monstera leaves on, and that would work really nicely as a backdrop to a shaker card as well. So if you do have that colour trend from a while ago, this is like the perfect excuse to sort of bring that out and play with all those tropically kind of colours as well. So that is this sort of shaker card. And actually you can see on the front here, this is what I was talking about, the waste from those waves. You can actually just use it as like some white on white detail, just to give a little bit of interest to a plain white area. And I just really liked the way that turned out as well. And you could have even put in like some little circles or some white Nuvo drops or something on there as well. I just really like that. So if you're cutting a lot of those waves and you're not going to use those waste pieces that fall out, keep them, and you can use them just to accent other cards as well. So that is a shaker card with the toucan. Then I have got this card, which is where the waves are from. So the background again is using the Tumbled glass and the Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxides. And then, as I was saying before, I really loved that like ascending factor or descending factor of the waves, that they were bigger at one end and smaller at the other. And then I thought, well, if you flip one around the other way, they're going to nestle into each other quite nicely. So I decided to use it as two vertical borders on the card, instead of using it, you know, the normal way horizontally as a wave. You can use it as this kind of direction. And actually showing you here, you can see both versions of the waves perfectly. So this is how I think it's how it's designed to go, because this is the piece that has those bits that will cut into it with the pointy wave coming round. But if you look up here, you can actually see the sort of rounded waves as well, so you can actually use it both ways round, which is very nice and versatile for your card projects as well. And it also means you could use both of them on the same project and you know, utilize the pointy wave and the curvier wave and have them layered in front or behind each other as well. And to bring in the different sizes, you know, if you wanted more of just the larger two waves, you could then bring in the other larger two waves of the opposite direction to carry it on and stuff. And I have also used the waves here in this central section. So I used one of the really old cross-stitch circles from Tonic. They're still my favourite circle layering die. I just can't stop using them. I used it to cut a vellum circle, and then I also cut the circle from some glitter card, and also from the, I think it's the Tidal wave actually, the Tidal wave Iridescent card from Tonic, and then I cut the waves into that as well. And then obviously, because you can use the wave both ways, I had the smaller wave and the larger wave, so I actually put the larger wave behind vellum on here as well. You can just about see it behind there, just to give a little bit of like ghostly wavy detail behind there. So you can see that is the curvy wave, and then under here is the pointy wave, but I kind of hid it with all of the drinks and stuff on there. And then I've also used the curvy wave of the glittery one as well, and it just adds a lovely sort of layered effect, and confining it into a circle is just another way of kind of making it more into like a little topper as well. So I really like that kind of idea of making a little circle topper on there. For the sentiment, I've used Aloha, let the good times roll. I thought they went quite nicely together. And then to go along with the sort of Aloha, we've got all of the tropical drinks as well. And you can see how I've kind of like tried to balance colours. Like I've done this ombre drink I was telling you about with the orange at the bottom. So I've done the orange slice and the orangey colour in the centre of the flower. I've sort of balanced the blues here and then the blue straw as well. So I tried to sort of think about what elements I'm colouring in what colours. Like this was the greeny kind of coconut, but there was no other green, so I coloured the umbrella to be green as well. So think about your colour placement as well when you're doing stuff like this, and it really helps sort of balance the images as well. And I really love how that one turned out too. Can you tell I like this set? I think I love all of the 5 cards that I made, so it's quite rare to actually like every card that you make, but yeah, I really love how this one turned out. And again, in the background I did the Aqua Shimmer glitter gloss splattered in there as well, and I've also used just a few sequins from my stash too. I felt like that AB kind of finish works really nicely with all of these tropically kind of feels, and the blue in the background as well. And this glitter card that I'd used has that kind of AB sort of finish to it as well, so they worked really nicely with that. So that is that card. And then the final one is using a lot of the drinks and the pineapples, and there I've used the 2 little bits of bamboo, a couple of the tropical leaves as well, to sort of build up this kind of scene sort of in the centre of the card. And then I've done Every Day With You is Paradise. And for stamping this, I stamped them next to each other. I used my long bladed pair of scissors to trim around up to here, and then I used my small Tim Holtz scissors to cut around the word paradise. And I like how that looks actually, and just raising it up on a low profile bit of foam tape just adds that little shadow to it, and I think that works really nicely. You could have definitely just stamped that straight onto the card though, and then built your scene above it as well if you don't like doing fussy cutting or cutting around fiddly little bits. That is like just the sentiments is the only little bits I've had to fussy cut on these cards, so it's a very good set for those of you who do not like fussy cutting at all and you'd rather have the dies to cut everything out. So, and you can definitely just stamp your sentiments straight onto your cards then as well. But I just sort of built up again another little scene just using all of the different elements from the actual stamp set, and then again trying to balance the colours a little bit as well. So you've kind of got the green, 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 and it kind of balances in a triangle. You've got blue here. I coloured a bit of blue on the glass as well, a blue straw, another blue straw to kind of balance that. You've got the oranges are mostly focused sort of in the centre of this one, but they all sort of balance nicely. Yeah, I just love how these turned out. I don't think you can go wrong with these. I think any arrangement you do of all of these little elements is going to look lovely, whether you just put them straight onto a white panel, whether you've embossed the panel in the background, whether you've done some stenciling with some glimmer paste or some Nuvo mousses or something, whether you add some Nuvo drops on there as well. I really love how they turned out, and I think actually just the images stamped onto cardstock as well to sort of build up a subtle tone on tone pattern paper would look fantastic too. And I did mean to take the Aloha sentiment and stamp it in the background, but I totally forgot. But it looks lovely without, but it would also look nice with that stamped in maybe the tumbled glass ink, because it's really pale, a few times in the background to bring that Aloha kind of element into there as well. Or to make it more subtle for a background like this, you could have taken Paradise, done it with your clear mark and some shimmering pearl or just your clear or your white embossing powders, and had some of that sort of stamped in the background as a really subtle kind of background. Or to bring that out more, you can do a bit of ink blending over it and then it would pop out from your ink blending. So many different ways of using all of these different elements as well. And I'll try and remember to link my colour trend video for the Tropical Paradise, because I cannot remember what cards I did in that or anything, but I'm thinking if you go and watch that and get a feel for those tropical colours and you have some of that Tropical Paradise colour trend, I think then coming back to this set is going to really spark some ideas for you with how to kind of use it. I mean, I don't think that colour trend had the blue in, but I think most of these other colours were kind of in that colour trend, so maybe bring in some bright blues from another colour trend, or the blues that were in the most recent craft kit as well. That's where I got that glitter card from. They would work perfectly with that kind of colour trend as well. So hopefully you've got a few ideas from this up close video, and I really hope you enjoyed it as well. This is the up close video for Stamp Club number 21, which is called Aloha Paradise. And I just think this is perfect for this time of year. I mean, I've been making Christmas cards since February, and I kind of feel like I don't even notice when I'm making a Christmas card now because I've been making so many of them. But I think that's why I was so excited about this set, because it's just like perfect for the weather that we're having at the moment. It's just like gorgeous and tropical and sunny and stuff. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy this set as much as I have. So I will leave all of the links to this set and anything else that I've kind of mentioned throughout the video as well in the description below the video, and also my blog post as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!